We have it at 279 electoral votes for Joe Biden for states that are leaning toward him or likely to go his direction, and only 125 for President Trump for states that are leaning in his direction or likely to go in his direction. So, this has been a crazy year because when you look at all of these states in yellow that are the toss-up states from Arizona, Texas, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, and Iowa, all of those states are within the margin of error, Judy. So that gives a lot of Democrats a lot of pause when they look at a number that says, wow, Joe Biden is up by a lot, but that could all tip very quickly, especially if there's a polling error.
As PBS reported, forecasts suggest that Trump won't win the battle to 270. Still, we know better than to sleep on 2020, and we know good and well that Trump is going to do his damnedest to steal this election. With that said, I'm here to prepare you for all that could go wrong with the Electoral College for this presidential election. I'm Adrienne Lawrence. This is Overruled. Welcome to TYT Overruled, where you get to be the judge. In today's case, the Electoral College in Chaos 2020. Here are the 3 Electoral College-related things to know, including 2 scenarios that could happen and could be utterly heinous. First, a quick refresher. The Electoral College is 538 votes distributed among all 50 states and D.C. The number of electors each state gets is based on population size, which is why the census was so important and why Trump did everything he could to stop it. If a presidential candidate wins a state, he gets all of the electoral votes that state has. To become president, a candidate must win a majority of the 538 votes, which is basically a race to claim 270 votes. That's why states like Texas, Florida, New York are so popular. Together, they total 96 electoral votes, which is pretty big. But with 538 votes, there could technically be a tie, because that's an even number. And it did happen once in 1800 with both Aaron Burr and Thomas Jefferson getting the exact same number of votes. Well, that brings me to my second point. In the event of a tie where both parties get 269 votes, there are 2 separate processes for selecting the president and the vice president. The VP, super easy. The Senate chooses by majority vote. In this case, given that Republicans rule the Senate, we can anticipate that they would go with Vice President Michael Pence. Bummer. The process for picking a president if both Trump and Biden tie in electoral votes is a lot more complicated. In that case, the House of Representatives would decide who wins the presidency, and it would do this by allocating 1 vote to each state, not to each congressperson. The 1 vote is generally based on the party majority. For example, Iowa has 4 congresspeople, 3 Democrats and 1 Republican. So because Democrats are the majority in Iowa's congressional House, that means that the state vote would go to the Democratic candidate, which is Biden. At present, based on my rough calculations, and I am no math major, but Trump would win by maybe 1 or 2 state votes if everyone with state congressional houses voted along their party lines. And let's hope it doesn't come to that. Anyways, this process is pretty crummy because it means that all states weigh equally in votes, even though population sizes are vastly different. The top 10 most populated states would only count for 20% of the vote, despite holding half of the U.S. population. That's junk. To my third point, what if either or both houses of Congress can't decide? Well, if the House can't decide on a president, but the Senate can decide on the VP that the Senate chooses will become the acting president until the situation is resolved. And we know that Pence would love that. If neither the House nor the Senate can pick a winner, then the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, would become acting president until both the House and the Senate decide. While this is highly unlikely to happen, I know we all know it's 2020 and we cannot trust this year. There you go. Those are the 3 things to know about the Electoral College should everything end up in absolute chaos, just like 2020 has always been. And I shouldn't even need to ask you if you think the Electoral College process is fair. But feel free to share your thoughts below. Hit me up on Twitter using hashtag TYT Overruled and follow us for more.